and welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm Dr. Julie Fouché, family physician and former CrossFit Games athlete. Here, I bring you information and inspiration to help bridge the gap between fitness and medicine and support your journey toward your healthiest self. Thank you so much for joining me. Now let's get started with this week's episode. Today, I wanted to share about a tool that has been completely game-changing for me. And so I'll share this in the context of an area of my life where I found myself running up against a lot of resistance a couple of years ago. And this is the area of feeling disorganized. So I don't know if anyone can relate, but I was feeling overwhelmed all the time. It felt like I had so much to do, but I had no idea what I needed to do, and everything was scattered. I had to-do lists on sticky notes, on small pieces of paper scattered around the house, on my notes app on my phone. I had to-do lists in my email, in my calendar, and I struggled to find a way to keep it all together. My email inbox seemed like it had thousands of messages, and after so many failed attempts at getting organized and trying to find a system that worked, I started to have this thought that I'm never going to be organized. And there's this concept called the cognitive emotive loop that I've been introduced to, and it really explained my situation with that thought. So I would start having this thought, I'm never going to be organized. And immediately when I have that thought, what emotions come up for me? I start feeling anxious. I start feeling fearful. I start getting overwhelmed. I start to feel angry and frustrated, like, why can't I get this right? And as I have those emotions, it triggers more thoughts, right? I'm so disorganized. I'm a failure. I'm incapable. How could anybody ever rely on me? And then when I have thoughts like that, more emotions of anxiety and fear and overwhelm. And I would find myself looping like this for hours and hours, just getting more and more intense with my thoughts and my emotions. It would just escalate out of control. And then I learned this method from an author named Byron that's called The Work. It's super simple, 4 questions to ask yourself, and it helped me to exit this cognitive emotive loop. And it helped me start to see a change in my thoughts, but also then in my life. So I'm going to walk you through these 4 questions as they apply to my own situation. The first is the thought true? And so my thought was, I'm never going to be organized. Now, when I first went through this exercise, I really thought that was true. I had all the evidence for the reasons why I had failed in previous attempts and why I thought that thought was true. So I might have said, yes, this thought is true. But luckily, the next of the 4 questions is, can I know for certain that the thought is true? And here's where I have yet to find a thought that passes this question, because there's always a little window. There's always some room for the thought to not be true. And so I had to answer no. The next question is, when I believe that thought, how do I react? And this was very clear to me because I had been stuck in that cognitive emotive loop. I start to feel really anxious and overwhelmed and frustrated. The next question is, if I couldn't ever believe that thought, who would I be? And here is where things started opening up for me, right? If I couldn't ever believe that thought, I would feel a lot more empowered. I would probably be organized. I would feel lighter. I would feel more hopeful. And that was a much more pleasant place for me to be than in those emotions where I had been stewing for so long. So once we answer those 4 questions, then we do some turnarounds on that original thought. And so for me, I started with just simple turnarounds, right? It's a lot for your brain to go from, I am never going to be organized to, I'm the most organized person in the world, right? My brain's not going to believe that. So I made small steps in those turnarounds. I said, it's possible for me to become organized. I'm capable of being organized. I'm organized in certain aspects or areas of my life. And as I started to think these turnarounds, I started to notice a change in how I felt and the sensations in my body. No longer was I feeling really discouraged and overwhelmed and fearful and anxious, but I was starting to feel hopeful. Like there was this world of possibility that I was opening myself up to. And once I started to change this thought and this belief, it created room for me to become more organized. So I read a book about organization. I worked with an organization coach. I tried many different new tools to see if they would work for me to find a system for organization. And through this process, I've had many steps forward and steps backward. But now I'm in a place where I am confident about my systems and my ability to be organized. And I'm certainly not perfect. There are days and weeks that go by where I get a little out of control again, right? And I start to feel overwhelmed and anxious. But now I have the belief that I am capable of being organized and I know how to do it. And I can get myself right back to where I want to be. I'm feeling so much more clear and confident and empowered and hopeful. And being organized in general has created a lot of space in my life to let go of the energy I was wasting in that cognitive emotive loop all the time. So I hope this example has illustrated for you how we can become aware of when we're in that cognitive emotive loop and how we can use this tool by Byron Katie called the work for exiting that loop, changing some limiting beliefs and creating a new reality for ourselves. Again, those 4 questions are, is the thought true? Can I know for certain that the thought is true? When I believe the thought, how do I react? And then if I couldn't ever believe that thought, who would I be? Once we answer those questions, then we do the turnarounds and we start to come up with opposites of that thought that are either as true or truer as the original thought we had. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, please consider subscribing and giving it a 5-star rating on iTunes. It really does help to get the word out to more people.